Inspector General says improper safety and permit inspections could lead to catastrophic or even deadly events.
Chief investigative reporter Stephen Stock details the Inspector General's new report uncovering issues with third-party inspectors.
Lauren, Liz, this 51-page report finds third-party building inspectors often didn't have active licenses and did not comply with requirements of the Office of Safety and Permits, and yet the office approved those inspections anyway. The OIG found third-party inspectors didn't submit required inspection reports for 44% of the inspections the auditors looked at. The Inspector General also found those third-party inspectors often didn't submit required inspection photos, and some had expired licenses. A similar report in 2022 after the Hard Rock Hotel collapse recommended hiring a full-time compliance officer and implementing a checklist for city and third-party inspectors. This latest report shows that never happened. In fact, of all the inspections the OIG reviewed, third-party inspectors hadn't submitted checklists for a single one of them. The report also found that safety and permits personnel didn't enter required information and documentation into the software program for permit inspections.
Well, it's shocking to see that Safety and Permits has hired third-party inspectors to do work, and it says here in the second bullet point, those third-party inspectors who are being paid presumably handsomely and more than people inside City Hall are not submitting reports for nearly half of the inspections that are being done. You can't do work in a way and have it be reliable when you have half of the inspections just not being reported on.
We asked for an interview with the Department of Safety and Permits, but no one responded. In its response to the auditor, Tammy Jackson with the department pointed out that the audit was based on third-party inspections performed in 2022 and said the department was already in the process of implementing several of the recommendations when the audit was conducted. Jackson said the department has already developed a uniform inspection report for city and third-party auditors and is working to outline the job responsibilities before moving forward with trying to hire a compliance officer.